Hey everyone, welcome to Sasser House. My name is Chris, and in this video today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build this queen size headboard for really cheap. It's a super easy DIY project, and I know that you guys can follow along and do this too. And so it only cost about $125 to build. It was super easy, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can do that now. Okay, so I got my miter saw set up on my tailgate of my pickup truck. This is my favorite way to cut wood because the cleanup is super easy. I just close the tailgate. So I got it set up. The first thing that we're gonna do on this project is cut the 4x4s for each end of the headboard. It's gonna be the post on each corner, and we're gonna make those 56 inches tall. So I'm just gonna take my tape measure, measure out 56. Mark that. Got my little speed square here. Just to draw a line there. We'll cut it. Go. Got one post done. Okay, got both of those posts cut, and then now I'm going to take all three of the 2x4s and cut these at 55 inches. These are going to attach the left side post to the right side post. This is going to be the framing that holds everything together, and then our 1x10 boards are actually just going to nail right onto the front. And so cut these all three 2x4s at 55 inches. Go. Now we are on to the last step with the miter saw. I've got one of the 1x10 boards, and so we're gonna cut these down to 52 inches. We need 6 of these, and I've only got 3 boards, so obviously we'll get 2 of these out of each one of these boards. So we need 6 at 52 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure that now. 52. 52. I'll use my speed square and just mark that all the way across. All right, so I've got all of my cuts made. I'm back here in the shed. And so just to recap, we took the 4x4 posts. We've got 2 of those cut at 56 inches. We've got 3 of the 2x4 boards cut down to 55 inches. And then we've got 6 of the 1x10s cut at 52 inches. And so we've got these all cut. We're gonna push those 1x10s to the side, and we're going to build the frame of the headboard. So basically we are just attaching the 2 posts together with the 2x4s. So I'm gonna drill some pocket holes in each of these 2x4s each end and attach those all 3 to each post. So that will build our frame. So let's get started. So our next step is to drill some pocket holes using the Craig jig down into each side of the 2x4s. And so basically what we're gonna do is take one of the 2x4s, sit it on the Craig jig like that, clamp it down. We're gonna take our drill with the Craig jig drill bit, and drill 2 pocket holes down into each side of the 2x4. Just like that. And if you've never seen a Craig jig before or pocket holes, that is what that is doing. Basically, it just gives you the perfect angle to screw your screws in and attach it to the next board over. And so basically we're going to now do these same 2 pocket holes on each end. Here's the other 2 of each of these 3 2x4s, and then we will use those pocket holes to attach it to those 4x4 posts. So this is how the frame of the headboard is going to be put together. So overall, with the 55-inch 2x4s and then the actual width of the post, should be right around 62 inches total. The queen size bed is 60 inches, but I thought it might look good to have just about an inch on each side overhanging the actual bed. So I went ahead and went with 62 inches. You'd want to at least have it to be 60 if it's a queen size like this. All right, so it's time to screw together the frame. So I've got those 2x4s in between the 4x4 post, and basically I wanted to show how chunky the 4x4 post is. So I'm going to just leave these flush to the ground or flush to the back of the post. So just keep in mind when you lay these out, the part that you're looking at on the 4x4 is going to be the part that you're looking at from the front of the bed. So make sure you pick your best looking side of wood out facing. So I went ahead and marked everything from the bottom up. I made a tick mark and a straight line at 12 inches. So that is going to be where I line up this first 2x4. It's going to be on top of that 12-inch mark. And so I went ahead and marked that at 12 inches. Then at the top, I wanted to have a little bit of that 4x4 showing. I'm gonna come down before I make those cuts for the arched top. And so basically I came down 3 inches from the top and made a tick mark and did a straight line there on both sides. Also from the top to get my middle one, I came down 22 inches. So I don't know if that's exactly right in the middle, it's somewhere really close, but that's not that important. This is just something to attach those 1x10s to. So 3 inches from the top and then 22 inches from the top for that middle board. Now I'm just going to screw the 3-inch deck screws that I have into the pocket holes and attach these 2x4s to the 4x4 posts. Okay, so I've got the 1x10s laid out on top of the frame of the headboard. And obviously if I had like a planer and a joiner, I would be able to make these gaps perfect and hopefully stay together and everything. And so I could put glue in between them and all kinds of stuff, but when this gets inside and shrinks, it's gonna end up showing a little bit of a gap there. And so I don't want it to start spreading apart and see that glue or whatnot in between. And so this is really rustic, and I wanted to make it super easy for beginners so any of you guys can do it no matter what tools you have. And so basically all we're gonna do is line up the bottom flush with that bottom 2x4, and then we're going to nail it on. And since I went ahead and marked the front of these 4x4s, I know exactly where my 2x4 bracing is. And so I'm basically just gonna take my Ryobi nail gun and nail all of these on. Now at the very end, my last board, I've got one that I'm gonna have to rip just a little bit off of the very end of it. But it's not that noticeable. It's not like it's gonna take off 2 or 3 inches. So it won't be too noticeable, and I'm just gonna leave it down there on the end. So I'm gonna go across now and nail all of these on really good. And hopefully we won't have too big of gaps in between each board in 6 months, but we'll see. I've never had a problem with doing furniture like this in the past, and we've got plenty of it in our house right now. So just gonna nail all this on. So we got this last one ripped down and it fits perfect in this spot. Gap's a little more than what I really wanted it to be. So on that table saw cut, if you were wondering why I wasn't staying right up against the edge, it's because my measurement here was 8 5/8 and I had to get it down to 8 3/8 at the top. And I didn't have a skill saw, so I was trying to just run it along the line that I needed to get it from 8 5/8 to 8 3/8. So now we're gonna get this board shot on as well. If you didn't notice already into this build, we left a big overhang from where that top 2x4 is and where these boards are hanging over, and that's because we're gonna do a shape. Kind of an arch. We didn't want to do anything too overboard, but based on some of the stuff we looked at on Pinterest or Emily looked at and our inspiration, we wanted a little bit of shape to the top of the headboard. And so what I did was take an old cardboard box. First I measured to the center of the overall headboard. So I had a full rectangle of cardboard, looked something like this. And I went ahead and just started drawing from where that post line is, so I know that I can go down that far because the 2x4 starts there. And so I went ahead and just started drawing some lines in the shape that I thought that I wanted. Once I got it to where I liked it, I ended up cutting it out and throwing that part of the cardboard away. And I traced that line along that scalloped edge of the cardboard. And since this was 27.5 inches, was to the dead center of the overall headboard, once I drew and traced that line, all I had to do was rotate the cardboard around the other direction and draw it exactly identical or symmetrical to the other side. And so now I've got a perfectly symmetrical, kind of scalloped, arched headboard. And so what we're gonna do now, since there's no 2x4 behind any of this, I'm gonna take my jigsaw and I'm going to cut out that shape.
After getting the headboard cut out, it was time to take it outside and sand everything down. I used my orbital sander by Ryobi with 180 grit sandpaper. I'm just basically sanding it just enough to make it smooth to the touch and get rid of any of the markings that came from Home Depot on the lumber.
So I just got back from Walmart. I ran to the store to get some more stain. We're gonna go with Early American. I've used this stain several other times on other projects, and this is the color we decided to go with on this. And it started snowing, and it is probably 5 degrees outside, and I can see my breath in here when I'm talking. So super cold, and I had to take my jacket off and my cowboy hat because I don't want to get stain all over that. So I'm going to try to do this quick. Basically, I'm just going to wipe this on with an old t-shirt cloth that I've cut up an old t-shirt. I'm going to wipe it on. I'm going to do the back first, then I'll spin it around and do the front side. So let's get this thing stained.
All right, it's the next morning and I'm headed out to the shed, and obviously it is really cold. It snowed all night long, but I'm headed out to the shed. We're going to try to do some clear coats and get this headboard done. The last step on this headboard build is to seal and clear coat the entire thing. And so I'm using polyacrylic, which is by Minwax also. You can pick this up at Lowe's, Walmart, or Amazon, and it is a super easy to use clear coat. It's self-leveling, and I'm doing basically 3 or 4 coats of this on the headboard, sanding in between lightly with 400 grit sandpaper. You just brush it on and it dries within about 30 or 45 minutes, so it is super easy to use. After it was all dried, I recruited Emily's help to help me carry this from the shed outside all the way back into our guest bedroom in the house. It looks absolutely amazing, but let me show you guys how we actually attached it to the bed frame that we are using. I've seen people before use homemade or DIY headboards and screw them into the wall, but we're actually just going to take some of those same deck screws and a couple washers and attach it to this metal bed frame that actually holds the box spring and mattress itself. So you can get these bed frames at Walmart or anywhere. They're super cheap. But basically, I am just screwing the metal bed frame to the headboard to attach it. And here is the final result. I absolutely love the way that this headboard turned out. It was such a fun and easy project that I know that any of you guys can do. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching another video of ours, and we will see you guys on the next one.